you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends of the Labour Party, it is a pleasure to be here at Hildesteen Primary School. I must tell you, Indar, it is with much difficulty that I have come hither. You will have read on the front page of today's paper the very disturbing news that St. James Central now stands at the foot of an inferno. And that during the course of last night, the working class people of Archall and in Seaview Tenantry would have spent long sleepless nights because of the smoke from the fire of a dump that should not be there today. A dump that was properly planned when we left office. All plans were in place for that no longer to be there at Mangrove. But such is the nature of the worthless and reprobate and disgraceful government that we have to contend with. It isn't only the poor people in Archall and Seaview, however, who suffer. The middle class people in Hoyts Terrace, the middle class people in Sunset Crest would have suffered last night as well. And the millionaires in Sandy Lane would have suffered as well. And if there's one thing that has left me absolutely convinced as I left home to come here, is that irrespective of your station of birth, and irrespective of the location of your house and its worth, the working class, the middle, the upper middle, the very exceptionally wealthy, all bar none are suffering at the hands of the Democratic Labour Party and their mismanagement of this place we call Barbados. And if there is something, my friends, which I think must confirm in our minds the burning urgency, the fierce urgency of today, the need for us to speak as a political party with one voice, the need for us to speak as a political party with a firm understanding that we don't get no lot of time on the front page of the nation. No disrespect to professional journalists present. We get no front page time on the Advocate. The electronic media, the radio is not interested particularly in the Barbados Labour Party. The television station could never forget about them. When we have a little bit of time, comrades and friends, let us make the most of it and let it be about the people of Barbados and the cause that we are here to serve, which is improving the lot of the people of Barbados and getting off of their backs the Democratic Labour Party. I think that is the most important message that I could bring from St. James Central to you this evening. And in there, it is with a sense of certain respect for you, because you had alerted me to this meeting about a month ago, and to your branch, that I could not, in good conscience, be anywhere other than here. But there are problems elsewhere. And I want to say to you candidly that I am absolutely satisfied that this country is in turmoil. Yes. And whenever, I've said it in St. John by election, I say it here again, whenever, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I have the opportunity to take to the platform against the members of the Democratic Labour Party, it is a declaration of war. War without any quarter asked, and no quarter is to be given, because we have to defend and we have to protect the interests of the people of Barbados. I remember in St. Philip North. Let us begin with dealing with Michael Ashley. Let's begin there. Mr. Michael Ashley. And in this regard, I want to say to you that from the short cannot go unscathed. Michael Ashley has now, and from the shore as well, to begin to speak publicly about what they understand to be the best interests of this country insofar as it touches and concerns salaries and employment. Every government in the history of this country since independence, bar none, have had to have an employment policy. And on top of an employment policy, you had to have a position on salaries and wages. We have said from this platform repeatedly Sunday after Sunday, and in fairness the way he has carried it, many have not, that the wages negotiation, the wages settlement, the last wages settlement that Barbados had came to an end in March of 2010. Here what I tell you. The last wage settlement that Barbados had came to an end in March 2010. We are now on May the 29th, 2011. Nearly 1.25 years after the fact, the government of Barbados has not yet announced a new salary negotiation. The government of Barbados has not announced the date of a salary negotiation. 1.5 years after the fact. And it is only because of the pressure being put from these platforms that this week the acting permanent secretary in the Ministry of the Civil Service parted his lips to speak. He breathed for himself. He breathed for himself. I can't be vexed with him because he's a professional. And he said, look, the situation is that we have no mandate from the Cabinet of Barbados to begin to negotiate salaries on behalf of the civil servants of this country. Now I ask you in good conscience, how can that be right? And how could it have happened if there was a Barbados Labour Party in government? The union has gone silent. Christopher Sickler, for all his vote and pomp setting, has been silent on the issue. When we went to the Chamber of Commerce the other day, and I could deal with him this evening, when we went to the Chamber of Commerce the other day, he talked about the Water Authority and CPC, and he can't pay for this and can't pay for that. Not a word about helping the public servants of Barbados fight the mounting costs, the breaking cost of living in this country. From the shortest Prime Minister, or so he alleges. Oh, yeah. He too has remained silent. And that is why you need to have a Barbados Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot escape it. It is the vehicle of choice. It is the vehicle that will bring salvation and change and progress and defend the people of this country. And let's be very real about that. We cannot be mealy-mouthed about it. If there is something, and I have not come here to pick a war with anybody in this party, but I feel, and I say it from my heart, that if there is something that we need to proceed about, it is the fact that the public servants of Barbados are facing back-breaking cost of living increases day after day, whether you go to the gas station, whether you go to the supermarket, whether you want to go ashore and pay a light bill, whether you want to pay a water bill. Don't care what you have to pay, you are paying more money for it, in spite of the fact that this government said that the first 3 jobs, 1, 2, and 3 were the cost of living. And the civil servants cannot see a cent more because of a pact entered into by people in high places who should know better to remain silent while the price gouging takes place in Barbados. That's what I feel. So if they're going to carry back a message, please carry accurately. I did not hint at it. I feel that that is what we should be talking about. And if I had a crusade, that's what I would crusade about. But I go further, because Michael Ashley is who I come here to talk about and deal with. And Michael Ashley, in Darware, you must know this, is complicit in this issue in the following manner. Because he has sought to use the National Housing Corporation for narrow partisan political purposes at a time when the country cannot afford it, to feather bed, politically feather bed, and line the list of persons inside the National Housing Corporation, I am told, has gone up. The list of employees, the numbers employed, gone up by 200 people in the last 2 years. 3 and 4 people answering one phone, Michael Ashley. 4 and 5 males fighting one another to get their hands on one mop, Michael Ashley. 6 receptionists. 6 receptionists sitting at one desk, Michael Ashley. Can the country afford it from the short? Not here at a time to feather bed the National Housing Corporation for partisan political purposes, while the rest of the country is asked to hold string and to suck salt
and to wait indefinitely until when you get around to trying to work out with the union how much more money you can get if you can get any more at all. These things are bad things, they are wrong things, and it cannot be tolerated. Michael Ashley, it is a bad and wrong thing that you are doing. That for political purposes of a partisan nature, not one of them can you say are objectively chosen. When they were sending them home from the National Housing Corporation, ladies and gentlemen, you know I don't have to tell you, they selected and went after anybody who they felt was a Barbados their party supporter. Any and everybody who they felt. But the reality is this. We have to resist it. And we have to speak out against it. And the more of us that speak out against it, the better it is. Because as I tell you already, you cannot rely on anybody to carry that torch for you. It is the Labour Party's fight, and the Labour Party must carry that fight. And I say to you, not only from this platform, but from the call-in programs like what Winnie's do almost every day, and what Andrew does, and others in this room, you have to allow your voice to be heard. And how is it possible? How is it possible that Michael Ashley has not yet parted his lips to speak on the true financial position at the National Housing Corporation? He can't do it. Not that he can't do it, he will not do it. But tonight I am calling on him to part his lips to do something besides that. You're going to talk, Michael. You're going to talk, Linda. You have to talk. You will need to know. And in there, your people must know. When you come knocking and begging for votes, they must know that $40 million was a loan of $40 million was denied. Are you all export? There's room for that. I ain't got here for that, no. Listen. $40 million. The Barbados National Bank refused to lend the National Housing Corporation $40 million a couple months ago. And Michael Ashley, you have to explain to the people why. Because there's never been a government of this country that did not do business with the National Housing Corporation through the BNB. It was the institution of first choice. Developing Barbados, as you know, was one of the mandates of the National Bank. But we've come to the sorry state, comrades and friends, when this government cannot get a $40 million loan, they went cap in hand to First Caribbean International Bank. And First Caribbean International Bank told them, don't send any letter of comfort from the Minister of Finance, it is not worth spit. We want you to go to Parliament and get a parliamentary resolution guaranteeing in law, that you, with the government of Barbados, will find money to repay us $40 million. They asked for $400 million, they asked for $450 million, but in the context of what we're talking about, it is a small loan. But this government has brought itself to its knees. And you need also to know, and your people must hear, that not only was that the consideration attached to the loan, but that the First Caribbean Bank went further and they said that we will attach to this a condition that if the Barbados dollar's value goes down, the interest rate on the loan goes up. We've never had it so bad. We have never had it so bad. But while that happens, and Michael Ashley uses his mouth for purposes other than talking to the public about what the public needs to hear, we are in a situation in which they refuse to collect rent from units which they have pledged out to give people who've been living in them for 20 years. I ain't gonna quarrel with anybody who get a unit. I'm happy for it if you can get it. I question Michael Ashley as to whether you know what you're doing, Mr. Michael Ashley, so I don't know if you can afford it. Because you're not bringing in rent, and at the same time as you're failing to bring in rent, Michael Ashley, you are also compelled to maintain the units that people are living in. You do not have the money to fix the unit, so therefore you cannot sell the units in a hasty manner. Let me tell you something, man. You need to know that when this government came into office, one of the first things they did was to talk about they're giving these units away to people And I had about 16 conveyances. People come to me and they want conveyances, then bucking them from here, just across the road from my constituent Hinesville. But Hinesville is St. James South. But Sandra, you weren't there then, so they came. The reality is, only 2 conveyances out of 16 up to today are in a position to move. Only 2. And I'm gathering that that is the position across Barbados. So that the government is still maintaining units 3.5 years later while not drawing rent from them. The taxpayer's purse is paying for that financial foolishness, Mr. Michael Ashley. The only benefit of it is that there's somewhere in the back part of a worm-eating Democratic Labour Party mind the view, the unfortunate and misguided view, mind you, that the Barbados Labour Party government opposition is going to be in some way affected negatively by virtue of the fact that the Dems will break the treasury, only to give away a house. Because that's what Barbados has come to under this government. You're giving away a unit, you're giving away a house. The United States can't get it done, Canada can't get it done, Great Britain can't get it done, and France can't get it done, and Germany can't get it done, but we allegedly apparently can do it too. We can do it. So not a cent is finding its way into the NHC. And a financial dependence has emerged. A dangerous financial dependence on a white godfather called Mr. Beer. You can't get the money from the bank, but you can build 1,000 houses at Coverley, and Mr. Beer will finance it up front for it. Who the hell is going to buy it? Nobody knows. Because when you look at the bold figures involved, when you look at the figures, you come to understand that in 2007, before we left office, at the same Coverley across the street that carry you to the highway, down to the airport, a two-lane part of the highway, it didn't even 4 lanes, a 2-lane part of the highway. Tyrone level campus out there extensively, Wilfred Abrams campus out there extensively, they will be able to tell you, put them on side. In 2007, we built and sold houses, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom houses at Coverley. A 3-bedroom house at Coverley was sold for $120,000 Barbados dollars in 2007. Tonight, Michael Ashley is selling 3-bedroom houses in Coverley for $340,000. And if you want the furniture in it, you put on the other 40 and you get your furniture for $380,000. Somebody is making a $250,000 profit. And if you're milling 1,000 houses on a $250,000 profit, somebody is going to become a billionaire. Meanwhile, not a steel bender with black skin born in St. Philip can find work down there, Michael Ashley. Not a mason born in St. Philip can find work down there, Mr. Michael Ashley. Huh? Can those things be right? Can those things be what the Labour Party is about? Can we sit in stupefied silence while this piece of political worthlessness and madness takes place in Barbados? It can't happen. No, I do not know, and the time I have 5 minutes more, I want to say to you, I do not know how you feel about it, but I am very clear in my mind that there are a lot of things that we need to get right. And if we can't get them right, the people of Barbados collectively will suffer. This party is the vehicle and the only vehicle that the country can rely upon to save it from the Democratic Labour Party. And I make bold to say to you, without fear of contradiction, that any divergence or digression from a central focus, a laser-like focus on keeping us on message is to waste our time politically. Now, having said that, I also say to you that I am deeply concerned that we have in the Barbados Labour Party to get a few things right. For the record, you know, I do not know when we did otherwise. And I mean no harm to anybody. But I feel that if this party is to go forward, let's go forward making sense and not being misconceived in what we're doing. I have a branch I don't know how this branch works, but I suspect it works the same way. Now when annual conference come around, and Peter Phillips wants to run for General Secretary, somebody has to nominate Peter Phillips, and it can't be just me, it got to be my branch. But if my branch decides to want Peter Phillips, then at a branch meeting, a vote will be put, and every member of the branch who is a member of the Barbados Labour Party, or it can't be a member of the branch, will be in a member of the party, will vote for Peter Phillips. Or against Peter Phillips. It happened with me in Tyrone level a few years ago.
Yes.
And people put forward my name, branches put forward my name, and every member of the branch vote, and some vote for Tyrone, and Tyrone would have won some branches, and I would have lost some and won some. Sure. And in the end of the day, the branches have their delegates, a delegates conference, just like how the Workers' Union has a delegates conference, just like how the NUPW has a delegates conference, just like how Barack Obama, the President of the United States, was elected at a delegates conference, and you go forward and you vote. So since what date have we been anything other than one man, one vote in this party? Let us focus on the things that matter to man, because we want to get rid of the dens. I also feel that, you know, political leadership in Barbados has to be understood because it is defined in our national constitution. The Barbados Labour Party constitution or Democrat Labour Party constitution or Bum's constitution doesn't make a difference. He who is Prime Minister or leader of the opposition is defined in the constitution of this country. If you have the majority of support of the members who support the government, you're the political leader of the land. If you have the majority support of the members who do not support the government, you're the leader of the opposition of the land. Why are we not focusing on getting the Democratic Labour Party off the people's backs? I don't understand it. And I am not part, I want you to get the message straight, I am not part of any grand design. I sat down and enjoyed David Thompson when he was alive, laughing at us because he said that he had sent people to St. George South and he had picked Cupid Gill. You hear what Thompson said? I picked Cupid Gill. He said it. Ask the rest of them who are at the dining table. He said that he thought Cupid was the easier one to beat. And he met people join. People join the political party and some are joined. It is a tragic thing when that happens in a constituency. O'Brien Trotman, it is alleged, had more votes at his nomination than he had at his election. It is a tragic thing when it happens in a constituency. Comrades and friends, I warn you, it is catastrophic if it happens at the level of the leadership of a party. Do not open yourselves and your party to the availability of purchase. The people with a deep pocket will find a way to undermine all that you hold dear. And the day will wake up. The day will come when you wake up and you realize that the Labour Party you thought you knew and loved is not the Labour Party that you have. I am not going to be financially subservient to anybody if I can avoid it. I told you just now I had 5 minutes. I trust I have used it usefully. Good night. God bless you and long live this Barbados Labour Party.